What's good, everybody? Today we got a Marvel Snap Pool 2 tier list for you. I'm going to rank all 25 cards from S to F tier. We already did the Pool 1 cards, so I figured it was time now to do Pool 2. The first card that we're talking about is Agent 13, and it's the perfect card to start on because we are going to drop her right in the B tier. The B tier is going to be a bunch of different cards that work well with certain combinations, and Agent 13 works really well in like a Devil Dinosaur or a collector deck. She's the perfect B tier card. And our next card is also a really good B tier card. It's Bucky Barnes. Bucky is a card that works perfectly in destroy decks. He doesn't really work in other decks, but when utilized in a destroy deck, he's going to be an incredibly powerful card. And that's something to mention about all these cards. None of them are actually really bad. We are going to have a couple people in the F tier, but that's because they're bad compared to the other cards in Pool 2. But you can usually always find some sort of combination that these cards are going to work well in some sort of deck. And the next card on our list is Cloak, and he's another perfect B tier card. Again, is amazing in a move deck, but outside of move decks, Cloak isn't really working too well for you. So perfectly in the middle in the B tier. I swear, folks, not everybody's gonna end up in B tier, but for now, the Collector is. Again, the Collector is really great in certain decks. He really shines in a Devil Dinosaur deck or some other deck that gives you a lot of cards. But the Collector doesn't really work out in a lot of other decks. And here we go. Next up on the list is Ebony Maw, and Ebony Maw does not fall on the B tier. I told you there were other cards. Ebony Maw is going to be a solid 6 tier card. 1 energy, 7 power is great, but you're kind of forced to only play him on the 3rd turn. If you don't, then you're kind of handcuffing yourself at a location early on. He really only fits into certain decks, and those decks really struggle to find a place for him. Hobgoblin is our first A tier card, and he is a filthy one. If you get him off in the right spot, Hobgoblin's gonna possibly win you an entire lane. Next up is Iceman, and I kind of struggled a little bit to rank him, but I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the A tier. He really does kind of teeter on that S tier. Iceman's ability to give your opponent a higher cost card really comes in handy. You can kind of just use him in every single deck. Infinite is an absolute beast. What can you say? He's got the most power out of any card in Pool 2 or Pool 1. If you play him right, Infinite could easily win you the game. Easy A tier. Jubilee is just a really fun, really great card. We're putting her in the A tier because you can stack your deck with a lot of 6 drops and really good cards, and Jubilee will pull them straight out of your deck, drop them on the field, and change the entire construction of the match. Yes, sometimes she pulls out something bad, but realistically, Jubilee could be the tide turner of an entire fight. We really love her. If you've been in Pool 2 for even more than like 10 fights, you know how much of a game changer Killmonger is. He is an absolutely incredible card, or your worst nightmare if you're running a Kazoo deck. Killmonger is an easy A tier in Pool 2. Man, Leech is such a cool card on paper. His ability to remove your opponent's abilities from their cards in hand sounds like such an incredible one, but for 5 energy and he only gets 2 power, he's almost a waste and never usually wins you the fight. We gotta go with this C tier on Leech. Morbius is another spectacular card if you build a discard deck around him. Morbius fits right in there in our B tier criteria. Unfortunately, we now have our first F tier card. It's Nakia. For 3 energy and only 1 power, she's gotta have a really incredible ability to pull that off, and really her ability is just a little too random. She's just not worth it in 90% of deck. Okoye is actually a really good card. She is kind of the opposite of Nakia in the sense that she costs 2 energy, she gives you 2 power, and she provides a really solid boost by upping the cards in your deck by +1. Okoye is a solid B tier candidate that fits in a lot of different types of decks. Rhino seems like kind of a cool card at first. Unfortunately, Rhino costs more energy than Scarlet Witch. He doesn't bring more power, and he's really just a bad version of Storm. We got to put Rhino in the F tier. Sabretooth is an easy C tier card. On paper, his ability looks kind of cool, but in practice, it just doesn't really work out. Sandman is a really fun card if you build a deck completely around him. I made a video about that, but if you don't have a deck specifically built for Sandman, then he just doesn't really function that well. We put him in the C tier. And here we go. We got our first S tier card, and that is Scorpion. Scorpion is an absolute workhorse. You can usually get him out by turn 2, and if you do, he's going to absolutely wreck your opponent's dreams. In a sense, Scorpion is providing a 7 power card for 2 energy. I've won many fights as a result of Scorpion just nerfing my opponent's cards. And again, we have another S tier card, and it is Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi is an absolute monster. If you can kill your opponent's highest card every single time out of your hand, then you are pretty much a lock to win the fight. Shang-Chi really puts in work, and he continues working through pool 3. And look at that, the third S tier card in a row. It is Storm, who is the ultimate control card in pool 2. She basically wins you a location early on and allows you to go and focus on the next couple turns on the last location to finish off the fight. And it's on to my favorite one drop in the entire game. We got Sunspot getting dropped right in the A tier. As long as you can avoid Killmonger, Sunspot makes sure that no turn goes to waste, no piece of energy goes to waste, because if you have anything left over, Sunspot is getting the buff. Swarm is again a really great card that combos really well if you've got him in a discard deck, but if you put him in any other deck, he's kind of pointless. Swarm is the perfect B tier card. Vision is a really cool card on paper. He can move on any turn. The problem is he costs 5 energy, so you can really only move him once typically. Even in my move decks, I kind of avoid using Vision because he's just basically a higher cost version of Nightcrawler. We're gonna put him in C tier. Vulture is an absolute workhorse in those move decks. He does such an incredible job at getting powered up every time you move him. We love him in B tier, but honestly, Vulture might be the best among the B tier cards because he provides so much in a move deck. And our last card is gonna be Warpath. You kind of struggled to find good combos for him in pool 2. He is a pretty cool little card, but I don't think he's that great. We're putting him right there in the C tier. And that is our pool 2 tier list. I'm gonna leave it up on the screen for a few seconds so that you could screenshot this and you could keep it for yourself if you really like it. Those are the best cards from S tier all the way down to F tier. Remember, you can always find a good combination for any of these cards, even Rhino and Nakia. I just think that if you're gonna use them in your pool 2 decks, that you could probably find a slightly better replacement on one of the upper tiers. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, it helps out immensely, and go check out some of my other Marvel Snap guides. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for the support, and have a wonderful rest of your day.